Hey guys, welcome to my top 10 tips for starting the carnivore diet. So I wanted to roll this out to anybody that's considering starting the carnivore diet as we approach 2024. And I just wanted to make this video not as a high-end production, but just one kind of normal person. I have nothing to gain from this. I just wanted to be able to help people start the carnivore diet and hopefully succeed at it. That's my goal in this video. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to try to get through these tips for you, and I hope you can put them to some good use. My first tip, and these don't always have to be in order, but I'm going to try to put them in kind of an order. My first tip is going to be mental. Okay, so the biggest thing is deciding, in my opinion, how you're going to treat this. And of course you want to go with positivity. You want to do that with anything, right? You want to be positive. But how do you want to treat carnivore? Do you want to treat it as a diet or a addiction recovery? Now, for me personally, I have to treat eating carnivore as an addiction recovery. I had to come to terms and realize that I'm severely addicted to sugar and carbs, like all this garbage food I love. Okay, I am addicted to it. So for me, when I do carnivore, I treat it as an addiction recovery. In other words, I can't moderate anything. I can't have cheat days. I can't have a taste of something with the bad stuff in it. I treat it as if sugar and carbs were literally drugs or alcohol. Okay, complete abstinence. Okay, so that's something you want to make sure that you know going into this. Are you just looking at it as just a diet? Like, what are your goals? Okay, what are you trying to achieve? Some people, they just want to cut out sugar, but they still want to keep carbs. Whatever your reason is, you just want to make sure that you are mentally prepared as you go forward. Number 2, education. Okay, I'm sure a lot of you have already, maybe you watched a video, maybe you saw something on like Joe Rogan or, something like that. So, but educate yourself, okay? Keep watching videos, okay? Now, a couple that I would recommend, Dr. Ken Berry, he's kind of like the king doctor of carnivore, all right? Dr. Anthony Chafee, he's another one. But those are just a couple. You need to really keep watching and educate yourself, but learn about some of the concerns you may have. Learn about LDL, learn about like cholesterol and diabetes. Learn about these things. Make sure you have a good understanding so that way you're not afraid of these things, because most of us, including myself, have been programmed over our entire lives, decades and years, right, of just being programmed to believe certain things. Even some of that deep-rooted programming still scares me at times. Even while I'm on the carnivore diet, I'm like, am I going to still have a heart attack from eating all this meat and stuff? So sometimes it pops in there. So educate yourself. That will help you stay on the path. Tip number 3. This is another good one. So you may be single. You may have a spouse. You may have roommates. Whatever the situation is, tip number 3 is basically get your house in order. And I'm going to use myself as an example. So in my house, my wife, she eats a standard American diet, what they call SAD, right? So she eats SAD and I eat carnivore. But it's good to let your spouse know, or if you have any roommates. Now, if you're single, again, you don't have to stress too much about this point. But let them know, communicate with them. Okay, let them know what you plan on doing. That way, it just saves for a lot of little arguments and things like that if they understand where you're at. But as far as if you're single, or again, if you're married, anytime you can throw out any of the garbage food. So if you're single and you've got cakes or whatever junk food you have, don't just go on a binge and be like, I'm just going to eat it all up before I go. Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't do that. But seriously, just try to get rid of it. Okay, number 4 is once you start to do this, or once you get ready to do this, go buy some food in advance. Go do some meal prep. In other words, um, there's a lot of videos out there. I have one about a low budget shopping, like Carnivore one. There's some other great grocery haul videos. Look and see what people are buying for their carnivore, what kind of deals. But get yourself like some like 10 pounds or however you feel comfortable budget wise. Try to get you some meat in advance, whether it's steaks, ground beef, whatever it is. Try to get some of that in advance, and if you can, vacuum seal it. If you don't have a vacuum sealer, maybe invest in one. I know that we invested in one. It's been a great investment. It lets your food stay a lot longer in the freezer and in the fridge. But start trying to get some of that meal prep ahead of time, right? Just so you have like a pound of meat ready to go at a notice. And also snack prep. This is important too. A lot of people overlook this, but as you go into it, one nice thing about carnivore diet, well, there's many nice things, but one of the nice things is you can eat as much as you want, right? You can eat as much meat as you want. You eat a pound of meat. If you're still wanting more, make more, eat more. But if, depending on, throughout the day, you might get hungry, and it's okay. Go ahead and eat. And what I like to do is have some snack prep. Have some bacon that's already pre-cooked in the fridge, like in a Tupperware container, where you can just take it out and snack on it. Cold. Something you don't even have to prep. Maybe something you can take to work. I have pepperoni as my little snack, every once in a while. If you're eating pepperoni, hot dogs, bologna, if you're eating some of these lower quality processed meats, don't stress, okay? It's not ideal, but if it fits your budget and it's, if that's all you can do, hey, that's still better than eating that other garbage out there. So keep that in mind. So as you educate yourself and watch other people's videos, you'll get all kinds of ideas for snacks and things like that. Tip number 5, join a community. There's a lot of them out there. Sometimes, like, I even have people that follow my channel here, and they'll just follow my daily vlogs, but they also will be part of other communities and follow other people's vlogs, and they can interact. They can make comments and share things. I've had questions asked. I've had tips. And that's the great thing about when you're in a community, because carnivore can be a little dicey sometimes. So sometimes maybe you have a question or you're like, I'm experiencing this. Is this normal? But it just helps to have that community backing. That's one thing that I've found to be true. Number 6, set some rules for yourself. That's what I like to do. It's my tip. But you can adjust them if needed. So, for example, let's say you want to decide how much carnivore do you want to be. There's kind of like 4 levels, okay? The entry level, what I call level 1 carnivore, is pretty much all of your animal-based products, including dairy, even some spices that aren't exactly, animal. People will still have like garlic and, mustard and like condiments. They'll have sugar-free ketchups and stuff. So it's what I call like an entry-level carnivore is more of like a ketovore in a way. And then a level 2 is really when you're doing like a beef, butter, bacon, eggs, and dairy with salt, maybe a few other like garlic, maybe a few basic spices. But essentially, it's going to be like that dairy, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs also. Or your level 3 would be your BBB&E, your beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And with salt, probably no spices, no real dirt, what they call dirt. And then your highest level of carnivore, level 4, would be your what they call like a lion diet, which is meat, salt, and water. All of those are healthy and they sustain people. You can be on a lion diet and live a good, solid life. Some people say it's the best way to live. Some people need a little more variety. I mean, it's up to you. I would suggest level 2, where if you start out with carnivore, I wouldn't necessarily start with ketovore. If you do, that's great. No matter what, you're still starting a great journey, even if it's keto, which isn't even carnivore. But even if you start that entry level carnivore, you're still making a great step. Don't get me wrong. But I would say if you really want to feel some of the best effects as quick as possible, you're going to go right to level 2, which is your beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, plus maybe some cheese and heavy cream, some dairy, a little bit of dairy, if you can handle it. Again, I don't want to get too much into that part of it. I just wanted to let you know, set some rules. Okay, try not to break those. But if you need to adjust, so for example, I actually had a rule in this week where my coffee, I wanted to do black coffee all week, no heavy cream in it. And then by the end of the week, I was like, okay, I did that, but I really like my heavy cream, so I'm gonna allow that. And so you want to maintain some rules the best you can, but also be flexible. You know, not to mention you may have a reaction to something. You might be like hard pressed to be like, I'm gonna have beef, butter, bacon, and eggs for 90 days. That's my first goal, and that's great. But you may get into it, and maybe you have like a reaction to eggs or something. You know, maybe you just didn't realize it. Who knows? But you want to be able to be flexible for things like that. Tip number 7, listen to your body. Okay. Now, this is going to be more so after the first couple weeks of carnivore. Once your bowels start to straighten out, because will you get some diarrhea? Yeah, you're going to get some at times. Your body has got to change over from running off of bad fuel to running proper human diet fuel. So it's gonna eject the bad stuff. And once you get swamped over, are you going to be lifelong diarrhea and all that stuff? No. I mean, I've got normal potty. In fact, once you really get into carnivore, you'll barely poop. Like you'll only poop every few days sometimes. It's nice. It's really cool. And there's nothing wrong with it. You just don't have a lot of waste. But listen to your body. In other words, once you get going, if you try something new, your body will tell you. And if the next day, because you're going to feel solid and even on the carnivore diet, like when everything pans out every day, you're just going to feel solid and even. That's the best way I can say it. But when you try something new and the next day you're like achy a little bit and you feel a little off, your body's telling you, hey, I didn't like that. That's not good. Maybe you try to incorporate some garlic back into your life or something. Maybe you're like, well, maybe I want to do, maybe you are doing cheese or something and the cheese is not helping you out very much. So just listen to your body. That's another tip for you. Tip number 8 is get through every day, one day at a time. Okay. That's the best thing about carnivore is get through one day at a time. I don't focus about too many goals I try not to. It's hard not to because you hear so many things. Carnivore diet sounds like a miracle way of life, right? Like it heals and reverses so many things. It's awesome. And a lot of it's true. It is. But don't think that far down the road you're going to get impatient, okay? Just take it one day at a time and get used to living and eating like this. Once you do that, then it's all downhill after that, really. It really is. Number 9, it takes work, okay? But not much, okay? I don't want to scare you away. So a lot of people want a diet where they can like set it and forget it. Like they just want to be like, hey, I just want to easily do this. Well, carnivore, believe it or not, it is probably one of the simplest diets because you don't have a lot to worry about. You just eat meat or beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and that's it. You can vary it up. You can have omelets. You can have beef scramble. You can have beef burgers. There's different things you can do to mix up what you eat, but it's all the same type of thing. You can vary that up, but it's very simple. What I mean by that it takes work is that it takes effort to not give in and do something quick, okay? Because life happens. Let's face it. I'm sure many of you would agree. Life is one of those things where everything is great. You're doing your diet, and then all of a sudden, just life happens, and all of a sudden, it's easier to pick up some fast food, and so you got to pick up some fast food, and then the next day you're like, man, I just don't have time to be like cooking up some ground beef and doing this or making up a steak or whatever. And this is what I'm talking about. It also goes back to tip number 4, which is meal prep, right? Have some things ready, right? Have them at least ready. That makes it life easier. Also, the education part and the community part, all those tips can help you for the part where it takes work. So, for example, on nights when my wife is like, hey, you're not going to be able to cook. You're going to have to pick something up on the way home. We got this, and this to do, So guess what? I go to McDonald's and I pick them up McDonald's. I get them some fries, whatever they want. And I have a tip. I did a video, but the tip is, when you go to McDonald's, ask for the a la carte menu. Say, I want to order off the a la carte menu. And then you tell them, I just need like 4 quarter-pound, beef patties. And they'll sell you just the meat. And they'll put it in a container. They'll even give you a fork and some napkins. And but I'll get like 4 of them because that's a pound of meat. It's 4 quarter-pounders. And they're only like $2 a patty. So believe it or not, like I said, there's little ways you can still do carnivore even in a rush. Okay, even when life is crazy, but it takes work. Just make sure you stay ahead, stay prepared, keep your snacks. Number 10, the last tip I would just now listen. One more preface it for those of you watching, and for those of you that want to add in the comments. There's always comments, and it's not a bad thing. In fact, I would encourage you, like if you're getting into carnivore, read the comments below if there is any, which there usually is. But a lot of comments will give you other tips. Okay, these 10 tips I'm giving you, this is just sort of a good 10 that I think are going to help you as far as like just mental and prepared and all those type of things, right? But there's a ton of other things you can do, a ton of other great tips out there. A lot of it lives in the comments. Don't listen to any haters out there. But number 10 is watch testimonials. Now, I know earlier I said educate and watch like some videos and things like that. I go back, I wanted to add this as another tip because as you go in the carnivore diet, you're going to have doubts. You're going to have doubts. You're going to start getting nervous, whatever, but you're going to feel good. You're going to be like, man, I feel great, but I'm still a little nervous or whatever. And you're going to have a lot of curiosity. Watch testimonials along the way. It'll help reinforce you. It's going to help keep you motivated. It's going to keep you positive. Watch testimonials. Don't listen to the negativity. You're going to have people that's going to, you're going to run into friends, family, and they're going to be like, whoa, I know somebody that did the carnivore diet, and blah, blah, blah. And like, they had a problem with their GERD or something like that. I don't know. They're going to come up with something. Don't listen to that stuff. Okay. I've been researching this stuff for 2 years. I've been on carnivore twice. Once I was on for 2 months last year. Why did I fail? I didn't fail. Well, I gave up. Why? Because I didn't have number 3, which is house in order. I didn't talk to my wife about it. I just kind of did it. And next thing you know, she's trying to cook for me. And I'm like, I can't eat your food. And she used to love to cook for me. She used to love to make me happy with her food. Well, if I come home from working and she cooked me something amazing, right? And I'm like, I can't eat it. I got to make my own stuff. I mean, it's infuriating. So we had a lot of fights, and it got to the point where, I didn't want my wife to be unhappy anymore. So I compromised and went back to eating sad. So now the difference is now she understands. We talked about it, and she's working at this time of night. So now I cook, and so it's easy for me to come home and just cook and do what I got to do for me and for them. So it works out. So have your house in order. That's why that tip number 3, it's really important. That's why I failed. But those 2 months last year, by the way, when I was on it, amazing. Now, at the time of recording this video, I just recorded day 33, and I got to say, I'm feeling amazing again, losing weight. I got skin conditions reversing. There's a lot of things going on. So I hope that these 10 tips help you as you start your carnivore journey. Again, you're welcome into our community, into my community, my channel. I'm always here for everybody. If you have questions, I'm going through this too. I'm a very down to earth person. So this wasn't a professional video, as you can tell. It's just me wanting to pass on some tips to you guys. So thank you and good luck. And I hope to see a better you in 2024.